Mine gone. 7 states is just enough to kill all our plans and the things we held. Detach yourself.
Okay, so the day is finally here. I finally get to put on my S&S Mini Teardrop air intake. I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna see if I could kind of film it like a how-to, but my brother's gonna come over, have a couple beers, and we might not. I don't know, we'll see. So I'm gonna kind of start on the teardown process, and I will yeah, show you what I'm gonna do. So with this intake, this is just like the cover that came with it. I already kind of have it a little loose, but what you do is you take off this little piece, it's just Velcroed on, and then you loosen this bolt right here. So it's a 5/16 Allen wrench. Let's see if I do this in the camera. Let's get this off. The instructions also say that they recommend that you disconnect your battery, your negative. But what I was looking at with the instructions was basically saying you don't want like it to turn on while this is off. I don't really have to worry about that. I'm not gonna do it.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
So to start, so I took that cover off. You remove that little Velcro piece. So that was the stock cover. This is after an aftermarket intake. So this is like a Vance & Hines. God, I'll put it right here. This is aftermarket. So what they did was they just put that cover back on it because it's like a naked breather, I think is what they call it. Anyway, what you do is you take this off, take this off, take this one off, and then you take the middle one off. I don't know if it matters what order, since I'm just taking them off. I don't really care. So I'm going to do that. So I'm kind of dumb. Basically, all you had to do is take off these three. This is just to hold on the bracket. So that's what I am doing. So if you take this, so if I take this last one off, right here, the whole filter comes off. So you can kind of see, let me put that down. Cool. Hell yeah. So you can kind of see that was where the opening was for it. I cleaned it with some, what is it? Like some intake cleaner, but still pretty dirty. Son of a bitch is in on his bike. So this is everything that actually comes with the S&S Mini Teardrop intake. So you got the gasket. I'm sorry, you have a couple bolts. You have the filter. You have the back plate. So we're gonna kind of, I mean, we still have to take this off. It's not too bad. So you take these three off, and then it has you remove this clip back here as well. And then once you kind of get all this popped off, you can start adding on the S&S. All right, so we got here, this has 3 bolts that you take out and take that whole bracket off. And then the next thing you do is there's this little plastic sensor that attaches to this backing plate. And you pop that off, you take off these two bolts right there. The problem that we're running into is that you can kind of see back here, there's 2 Allen bolts that need to be loosened. Be pretty difficult to try to get back there with the Allen wrench. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and just take the tank off real quick. So we can do it all clean. I gotta clean this shit up anyway. So we're gonna take the tank off and then take that off so we could get this little bracket off. And then I think at that point we could start putting on our S&S Mini Teardrop. Tank off. And so now we're gonna come in here And if you see right there, there's 2 Allen bolts that we're gonna take off. As soon as we take that off, we'll be able to get this little plate taken off. I've kind of realized working on bikes that it sucks to have to take the tank off and go that little extra step, but I'd probably end up scratching up the tank or something if I didn't do that. So we're gonna get these 2 taken off. This will come off, and then I'm gonna leave the tank off, but then we'll be able to continue with actually putting on the intake. All right, so we ended up having to come in, and so we had a Vance & Hines aftermarket intake on it already. Like, that's what it was on it when I bought it. So we ended up needing to take off like its backing plate, and we cleaned off this gasket here. One of the things we kind of ran into is this piece, it clips on to a piece of metal that bolts on these 2 holes right there. But if you put the whole bracket on, it won't line up, and air will get in. So we went ahead and took the bracket and cut it down. It's a little crude, but we cut it down, you won't see it, and that way it'll fit on here and still allow us to put that clamp on, so this isn't rattling around, and we can still line everything up and everything fits up good. So every once in a while you just have to kind of cut it down and cut it down so you can make it work. Thankfully I have my brother here to do the hard work, so I'm gonna go back and start putting this together, so stay tuned. Cool, so this is where we're at now. Everything's lined up here. You put, for mine, for the 16, you put 1 washer in here, and you put a washer on the back side of both of them. Then you tighten these down to 72 pounds, a little bit of blue Loctite on all of those bolts. So what we're gonna do now is put on the filter and then put on the cover. We should be close to being done. After I'm done, I'm going to map it with my fuel pack and then start it up, see how it sounds. All right, we officially have the bad boy on. So to kind of recap what happened, we took the old one off, and when we took the old one off, we had to take off 2 screws from up here. The easiest way for us to get to those was just take the tank off. I didn't show you how to take a tank off because I just didn't. So after I took that off, we got down and took this bracket off. So we had the whole Vance & Hines naked intake off, except for like its bracket back here. So we unscrewed that bolt, unscrewed the equivalent to that bolt and that bolt, and then we had the tank off, unscrewed 2 bolts down there, and it allowed us to take this whole bracket off, which there's a bracket here that needed to come off. Well, when we were sitting there looking, I wasn't too happy about just having this kind of flapping, and I wasn't sure where to put it at the time. And my brother, he's a welder, fabricates stuff. He's like, screw it, man. For now, let's just cut that bracket down and put it on there. Worst comes to worst, we just weld it back on, whatever we need to do. So we got that bracket kind of cut down. It looks kind of bad. The plan is for us this weekend, well, I think he might be going out of town this weekend, but the plan is next time he's in town, he's going to come over, bring his welding truck. We're going to really clean it up, paint it, and shorten it down so it, it's hidden. I mean, you could definitely see it for sure, and it's going to rust here pretty soon. So that's a temporary thing. Won't be there long. It'll be 10 times easier to get it taken off now that we know how to get to it and all that. So, but yeah, so after I took all that off, I took that bracket, took this bracket out, unscrewed it. We pulled it off. You'll see in one of the last clips, they had a they had this black piece that was still attached for the naked intake that was on, and it had I think they actually used silicone, but it still had part of its gasket. So we pulled that off, we cleaned it up. So we kind of popped this off, we cleaned it up with a razor, like super careful to get it, and wiped it all down. It was pretty clean. So then after that, you basically, that's the hardest part. The easy part's now, where you take the SNS bracket, you put it on, you make sure you have the gasket on the back of it, with 3 bolts. You put it on, and then you make sure you put, so the main thing is you want that gasket to line up, and main thing is you want that gasket to line up. And I'll probably do a better explanation of this weekend. I'll take this stuff off, but yeah, I'll just do that. So I ended up not recording another video for this. So that was basically a lie that I just told you. I'm not a big fan of lying. I don't normally lie, but I just wanted to tell you guys that it was a lie. I just didn't feel like that I needed to explain it any further. No use beating a dead horse, if that's the saying. I don't really know. So I just, basically, it's all explained there, what you need to do. One of the reasons why I haven't recorded a follow-up is because in the garage, so during the day, I'm in Oklahoma. I mean, I'm in Oklahoma all day, but every day. But it's like 100 degrees or like insane here. So my garage that faces the west, the sun always sets on it. So in the garage, it's usually ridiculously hot. I bought like a window unit for it and put it in there, but there's so many like leaks from the big garage door that it just was just a waste of energy. Anyway, I get off topic, I'm sorry. So yeah, there's not a follow-up there. That's a pretty good explanation I have though. If you guys have any questions or anything, just feel free to give me a shout. I hope you enjoyed the video though. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I think that is about it. I also just put this new grip on my AR. I'm pretty pumped about it. Excited to get out and shoot it. I don't know if I can technically, is there like rules against showing firearms what are they gonna do? I'm not really a big channel. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I will talk to you all later.
I pull and peel the skin and I let you right in. I've been talking to myself and